Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to NXT Losos, the sexiest NXT review show out there on the internet. My name is Mikey, and joining me as always is the Bleat Father, the Grand Master of all things, El Blanquito. Mr. Kilt is in the building, who was also in the building for NXT last night as well.
I was, and it was glorious. Oh, I love it. I love every chance I get to go down to the PC and hang out in that crowd. It by far is the highlight of my of my time. Like literally, I have more fun going to the PC. Literally, okay. I'm biased in saying this only because NXT really is the only time I've actually been at a wrestling event that I can remember off the top of my head. And it's always a blast because of how intimate the crowd is and how there's sections, but it's just there's so you can hear the chants a whole lot easier. You can find yourself a whole lot easier in the crowd when you're watching back. I know I'm about to go watch as soon as we're done here because I'm trying to watch it back so that way I can clip some moments that I thought were great, and it's always a good time to be in that building. I'm hoping I get called up to go to the Great American Bash and be there for the tailgate party as well as everything else. I will report what I can.
And we appreciate you reporting anything that you can. But me and Mr. Blanquito over here, we are going to be discussing last night's NXT. So that would be the Tuesday, June 16th edition. Very promo and backstage heavy, but also some really fun action in between. And it seems that we are setting up the final things that are going to be on the final card for Great American Bash itself. So without further ado, well, sorry, I kicked the chair, and that's what happened. But y'all already know the drill. Where to see us go live on our streaming platforms. Follow us on any social media site of your choosing at BC Wrestle Pod. We have some merch, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. We also have a little coffee bot to help us pay for these summer pay-per-views because there is going to be a whole lot. And I always ask, why wrestling companies? Not this weekend, but next weekend. I'm like, why are there 4 pay-per-views? I mean, Kilt only really has to worry about one, but why are there 4 pay-per-views?
This is true. I only have to worry about one, and hopefully I'll be there for that one.
I mean, hopefully you were boots on the ground for Vengeance Day earlier this year, so here's hoping that we can keep that track record up.
Vengeance Day was. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the tailgating. I don't know if they're doing it in the Full Sail parking lot beforehand or if they're doing it at the PC. I literally learned of them doing the whatchamacallit, doing the tailgate as I was sitting it live at the PC, and I happened to just look up and go, oh, it says blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's going to be fun.
Most definitely. Well, without further ado, let's get into this episode because we got some stuff to talk about. So this is going to be a fun episode to discuss. So we kick things off officially with this opening segment from a couple of our women. So, of course, we have Zarya come out first, our new NXT Women's North American Champion. And she cuts a little promo talking about how she has finally gotten out of Soul's Shadow and that she got here and she won this championship of her own merit and that she is going to run this women's division, which then prompts Kalani Jordan to interrupt her. And Kalani congratulates Zarya on the title, but more so congratulating her for getting a title that Kalani first won. And then Kalani immediately makes it about her, talking about how she's upset that her and Kendall Gray are 1-1, but she's the number 1 contender, and it should have been her, which then prompts Kendall to come out and tell Kalani that, we're 1-1, but I'm number 1 contender, and you big mad, so you need to get over it. But she said that she would throw Kalani a championship match when she becomes the new NXT Women's Champion, which then prompts Lola Vice to come out and tell Kendall, Mamita, girl, we haven't gotten to a Great American Bash and you're throwing championship matches out there. I was like, you need to get through to me first. And unfortunately, you ain't going to do that, which then prompts all four of them to argue. And then our general manager, Robert Stone, comes out and all the women are arguing with. Then Lola just looks at Robert Stone and is like, Mr. Stone, we already know. Me and Kendall versus Zarya and Kalani tonight. And that's when, the wind was released under Mr. Stone's sails. So it's like, and that is why we have the best women's division. So that is going to be our main event tonight. I'm just like, okay. I was like, I thought we were done with the whininess, but apparently not.
No, it was so. I'm like, oh my god, I zoned out. I legitimately zoned out. And then I was sitting there just like kind of relaxing, trying to not pay attention because I was like, I'm hearing Kalani talk, say something about herself, Lola, Kendall, blah blah blah. I'm like, you're in the middle of the ring with a different champion. Why the flying squirrel are you talking about someone completely different? And then,
in all honesty, Zarya is the one I feel the most bad for in this because she was right. It was like all the other girls make it about them. I'm like, this was supposed to be Zarya's moment.
Exactly. And we wanted Big Za to have her moment. And it was like, and then Kendall comes out, and then freaking then Lola comes out. The guy behind me was like, "Why are your legs ashy?" I'm like, "Dude, she was at the Puerto Rican Pride parade in New York with Damien. What do you think? That like, man probably got her walking a lot because that was a long ass parade.
It is humid in New York too. Like, oof, New York summers is it is humid than a mofo.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna move myself a little closer. There was a joke, and she said something in Spanish I didn't really understand, but I kind of got the gist of it because it's kind of funny. The mics were really loud last night at the PC, and it was like almost blowing my ears out. It's like sometimes I could understand what they're saying, sometimes sometimes I tuned it out, won't lie, because when they start talking, I start getting woozy. And then it's like it was so predictable. As soon as I saw Stonewalk, I'm like, great, we're gonna have another throw together tag team match between two champions and their number one contenders. Okay, cool. Let's go. And then we had what happened next.
Yeah. So again, we get this match made. We're going to talk about it because it's our main event, but we have a show to continue with because after this opening segment, we get into our first match of the evening, which is for the number one contendership to the NXT North American Championship. This match was made from last week after Miles Bourne offered a title shot to Tavion, but Jackson Drake had some disagreements about that. And so Miles told both Tavion and Jackson Drake, settle it in the ring, and the winner will face me at the Great American Bash. And thus, that is how this match was made. Now, Tavion went off in this match. I was like, yo, Tavion. I'm going to be honest. I feel like Tavion was in control for a majority of this match. And Jackson Drake got a little bit of offense in towards the middle, but Tavion was on a whole nother level. And I was like, thank goodness it went the way that it was supposed to. Because towards the end of the match, the Vanity Project boys tried to get involved to help Jackson out. Miles Bourne, took care of Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes, which would allow Tavion to hit his finisher for the win. And so Tavion is moving on to the Great American Bash to fight Miles Bourne for the NXT North American Championship. I need this intensity from Tavion every single time he's in that ring because that was so good to watch him just be that intense and just go off.
He did amazing. It was so they sold it really well because I was texting you the whole time because I like to have A, notes, and B, social commentary, because I can't really live stream or record there, so I can't give you like a vocal note. Can't be like the freaking guys at the commentary booth. But what the hell? Sorry, my chair's being funky. Okay, there we go. So like this match started looking like, as I texted you like halfway through it, I think that it literally, they were looking like they were setting it up for Jackson to win, and I'm like, really? Do we really have to have the white guy beat the black guy again? Because that's kind of ridiculous. Also, this man has been on a losing streak. He making him look weak if you do this shit. And it's like then all of a sudden he just starts powering back up, and it's like kind of going back and forth and back and forth. And then I think he went. I think he dove through the ropes. I remember all three of the Vanity Project boys going down at one point, and then ooh, what the? Sorry, I got okay. I love my girlfriend very much. She sent me a
Uh-huh.
text earlier saying that she's making artichoke spinach dip. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then she just sent me a text saying, but I just found out I forgot to buy tortilla chips. And then she sends me a gif saying, curse you, Perry the Platypus. Curse you, Dingleberg. And I'm like,
Wow.
way to derail my thought process. But no, in the end, Tavion came out strong, and I was so glad to be wrong, and I'm so glad our man's getting a chance to go after that title. Because I love to see Miles and Tavion go at it for this, because I think this will be a great matchup. I think they complement each other really well, and I think this would be really fun just to watch. I'm hoping it's going to be great. We'll see what happens.
I think it's gonna be a good one, and honestly, I think this is the beginning of Tavion and Miles' feud, which I hope is the case, because I think well, who knows? NXT does crazier things, but regardless, however we get there, I think Tavion should be the one to take the title off of Miles when it is that time. But I am looking forward to that match at Great American Bash coming up here in 2 weeks. Alrighty, so after our number one contendership match for the North American Championship, we get into our second match of the evening, which is the first of two semifinal matches in our WWE Women's Speed Tournament. And the first match was Izzy Dame of the Colleen taking on Thea Hale, who is now just chugging energy drinks, and I love that for her. I feel bad for both of them because it feels like Izzy, especially Thea, we're just spinning our wheels with them. They're like, they don't know what to do with them. You know, Izzy had a program against Lola for the women's NXT Women's Championship. And then ever since then, she hasn't done much of anything, but now she's in the speed tournament. And then Thea Hale just hasn't been on our television in like a month or two. And now she's here and she loses to Izzy. And I'm like, for Thea specifically, I want more for her, but I feel really bad for both Izzy and for Thea because I think they're spinning their wheels right now, and I want them to have something of substance to do.
How dare they do my dad like that? Also, I sent you something really, really hilarious that for those watching at home. There was a tweet that
Yep, I
went out.
saw this earlier in the week. It was glorious.
There was a tweet that went out that said, I haven't seen Jordan Grace on TV recently. What happened to her? Blake Monroe tweets back, I ate her. Which
And
is
then Jordan
impossible.
responds,
Happy Pride. Like,
their
yeah,
their social media game is fantastic, but yeah.
she's doing amazing. I see a lot of Jordan stuff on Facebook. She's a pilot now. She's going after another certification while she's basically in limbo because creative doesn't know what to do with their roster. I'm upset that she went to main roster. I wanted more. Oh, anyway, but yeah, I'm really upset that that are dead. Because that's the joke that she's been running recently on social media. That Thea is, that she's she's into dad, like divorced dad rock, and she's doing like dad things. And so she's, everyone's dad now. And I'm like, what's great is she looked over in my corner when she came out and went. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's do the dance. I'll dance with you all day. Get your boyfriend involved. I like him too. He's cool peoples. Wilhelm, I think it's Wilhelm. Yeah, I forget his last name, but yeah, he's on Evolve. Um, but yeah, this is it's frustrating. Oh, Izzy was that's right. Izzy was at the merch cart, and there was two guys who had just got off of work. They worked for some construction company. They're wearing their safety yellow freaking shirts, and there's an older guy and someone that's like between our ages, and she calls out to them. It's like, I know you two need shirts. You just came straight from work. And so he gets out, the old guy gets out of line, goes and just waits in line to get two shirts signed by Izzy Dame. She's like, I knew I liked you. You listen. He took a picture with her, comes back with two shirts.
I love that the NXT stars will come out and help sell merch for a little bit. Like, it's fun.
It's great. It was really cool. It was great that I got to see Tate and shake his hand. That was pretty nice. But yeah, I love that merch booth. Like freaking, I'm so curious of what's going to happen for next. Well, not next week, but next week definitely, but also for Great American Bash. That's going to be so monumental. It's just going to be insane. I don't know where they're holding it. I don't know if they're going to be doing it, like if they're going to like try and take over, like we used to call it the Citrus Bowl. I think it's now was Capital One at one point. I don't fucking remember what the fucking stadium is in downtown. I know the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play there next year. But yeah, it's so mysterious because I was like, they haven't said anything anyway. But yeah, this was a good match, although it was done before I even realized because I was half paying attention. But yeah, this was I'm mad that Thea is not getting any traction. She's mad loved. She's she's mad good. She was trying to shotgun a beer. No, I don't think it was a beer. I think it was like a Celsius or
An
like
energy drink of some kind, yeah.
And she just couldn't get it because there was tape over there. And she was like, "Shit, I'm struggling." I'm like, "Why are you struggling?"
Be like, we can't show the brand.
It's like she put it. I'm like, "Oh, it's her koozie." She has a massive koozie collection. She just loves getting koozies. I was like, "That's kind of cool." Okay, cool. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping that we see more for Thea and honestly more for Izzy too, because both of them are kind of spinning their wheels at this moment. But Izzy will be moving on to the finals of the women's speed tournament and see if she will move on to Great American Bash to face Ren. But after this particular match, we head backstage where we see Ren and Kendall talking about it. Kendall is teaming with Lola later the evening, and she's talking to Ren, and she asks Ren, are you to be in my corner for Great American Bash? And honestly, this is the realest. This is a real honest reaction from Ren because, girl, I feel you. She's like, Kendall, as much as I would love to, I can't because I'm going to be defending my title at Great American Bash. And I'm like, that is the realest thing. That's the realest answer you can give, girl. Not this fake. Oh, I'll try. Oh, maybe. It's like, girl, I got a championship to defend too. So I need to be focused on that. I'm like, you go, Ren. You keep that championship. I mean, they can still be friends, but Kendall's going to have to face Lola on her own. So she's got to win by her own merit. But Lola is a little not Lola. Kendall is a little disappointed, but she said that's okay because she's going to win the championship. And then they will both have championship gold for the Ren QCC. And Lola walks in and it's just like, listen, we're teaming up tonight, but don't get it twisted. Once we're done, you have to get this championship. You have to go through me at Great American Bash. So honestly, this everything that we have seen from Kenda and Lola's feud so far, I'm on the side of Lola because she's like, girl, we haven't even got to Great American Bash. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Like anything can happen between now and then. So let's get through what we need to, and then, you know, Great American Bash will see how everyone does, and they'll be the great equalizer. So we're gonna see Kendall and Lola be teaming up later in our main event this evening. So more to come on that.
One of my favorite things about this segment was as soon as Lola comes over, they'll both go, "Hola, Lola." I kind of like, really? You're
Together,
here?
they said it in unison, and it
It
was
was so
fantastic.
perfect. Oh, that was good.
So, yeah, we'll talk about the main event here when we get to the end of the show. But right now, we get into our sit down between Tony D'Angelo and Naraku, and this was fun. So Tony ends up meeting Naraku at uh well, a park that has a, shrine in some kind of in the background. I was like, y'all had to make sure that the public was not there when we filmed this.
So, if I'm remembering correctly, I think this might be because there's a couple places. When I first saw the arts, I'm thinking, oh, they're at Disney. And then I'm like, no, they could not be at Disney. That costs too much money to fucking like to go there and do that. And then I remember they're up in, I think it's like Delray Beach. There's a place called the Morikami Museum in Japanese Garden. Beautiful place. So I'm thinking that might be that, or there's like a place I think near where I live. That could be. I'm trying to look. It could be this one. Sorry. I'm literally Googling things and like scrolling through everything, trying to figure out where it would be. Mostly so that way I can be like, oh yeah, that's near me. It's probably near me. I just don't know. But this was such a good bit.
Right.
Now,
So
granted, they were really soft on Naraku's dialogue.
so so we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but I do want to finish setting it up. So Tony meets Naraku at the shrine of some kind. They have this sit down, and basically Tony does not believe this nice guy act that Naraku is putting on. And without mentioning the four-letter words of a specific promotion over in New Japan and the faction that Naraku once led while he was over there too, Tony makes it clear that he did his research. He knows that Naraku's nice guy act is not that it's all cracked up to be. He knows that he did everything and anything to make sure he won, even if it meant some dastardly evil things. So I was like, I see what we did here. Because again, really quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but for those of you who are watching this live or are going to watch this later and don't know anything about, Naraku's previous history, Naraku, formerly known as Evil, was a member or was the leader of the faction in New Japan called House of Torture, in which they won by shenanigans and any means necessary. Evil had lots of championship reigns, even holding the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship in New Japan, which is their big main title. And yeah, so now he is over here in the US and he's challenging Tony D'Angelo for this NXT championship, which Tony says as much so too. And he signs the contract and then he leaves Naraku. And I was just like, Naraku ends this whole segment by saying that Evil is on its way. And I'm just like, ooh, this is about to be on and popping. And I
Oh, it's gonna be
understand.
great.
I know you mentioned that they were a little light on his dialogue. I was like, I totally get it because I think that we're playing this and then that switch is going to be flipped at Great American Bash. I do think this is just a ruse. We're going to truly get Evil, the NXT version of Evil, in Naraku at Great American Bash, I think. And I also think too, because when Naraku said that Evil was coming to NXT for Tony D'Angelo, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. But there is also another former New Japan star that left around the same time as Naraku that has been reported to be signing with WWE. And I'm like, Man, are we going to start like a House of Torture esque fashion in NXT? Because I would be here for it. And that person is Hiromu Takahashi, which would be amazing. But or whatever NXT comes up with their name. But yeah, I'm excited. We're getting the contract signing. We're going to see the other half of this in the PCs next week, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we're light on the dialogue for Naraku because I think that switch is going to flip, and we're going to get the full quote unquote evil when that match happens at Great American Bash or even afterwards.
I had to agree. I think this is going to be very good, and I'm excited, and I wonder so many things, but we shall see in a week and a little bit.
Yep. So we get the live contract signing at least for Naraku's side of things at the PC next week on the Go Home show. So we'll see how that develops next week. After this sit down, though, we get into another backstage segment in which Keanu Carver comes up to Robert Stone and is like, yo, listen, man. I was like, I thought you said you were going to look into something for me. But EK is in the room first when Keanu comes in, and Robert Stone's like, hey, why don't you fight EK? And Keanu's just like, I said you said you weren't gonna give me a challenge. I'm like, I don't need to. And EK's like, bro, you ain't about to disrespect me. And basically both of them just go off with each other. And Keanu's like, all right. I was just like, what, you gonna step up to me? And EK's like, listen, man. I was just listen, I ain't about to be disrespected. Somebody needs to humble your ass. And so EK's like, all right, bet you must, but like your friend Tate, you better be very careful. It seems you got Death Wish. So we're getting EK versus Keanu Carver next week on the Go Home.
I'm excited. I want to see. I saw EK. There was a dark match. His match actually second because we get 3 dark matches. We got lucky. We got nice. So he was going up again. I don't remember who I said. I probably texted it to you. More than likely I did. The one thing we haven't talked about yet so far, because I don't know if that's happened, but we haven't talked about the Evolve promos that went on throughout the night.
Well, we'll talk about Aaron Rourke's backstage promo that sets up a match for next week because that happens later in the show.
That one, I wasn't talking about that one. That one's actually good. That one I like. The
And
rest
then
of it was
the Wendy Chu one was just for you guys. It did not air for us on TV.
Wendy Chu didn't air. Well, no, that was one of the dark matches. So that was the
That's
last.
What I'm saying.
Match.
Yeah,
I knew that. No, that wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about when a lot of the Evolve talent were coming out. Hi, Nick. Came out and were cutting promos, and I'm like, I literally texted you twice. Like, who is this random ass white boy on my? It's just like, I don't know you. And then he's like, he was. There's a little girl. She was a little. I think she had something with her a handicap with her hand, and she was trying to, like there was like 6 kids in my area that would always rush up to the front to try and get a high five or whatever. The dude just went, no, the fuck, I'm not touching y'all, and fucked off.
Freaking Nick, Wendy Chu, not for you, Mikey.
Was amazing.
Love you too, Nick.
I love that match. But anyway, no. Okay, so back to this specific thing. It's kind of EK is gonna have a good match, I think, regardless. I honestly, I want the ruler to come back and have a in ring conversation with Keanu Carver.
Man,
that would be great.
That would be hilarious. I highly doubt it though, because Boba is busy with King of the Ring. He's going to the finals next Saturday, so it's just like, and it's either going to be Jay or Javon. He's going to be facing him. Hoping it's Javon, but it's probably.
I would like Javon because then they can run it back for the NXT title that that should have been Javon's, but shutting up. Moving on. Yeah.
But EK and Keanu set for next week on the Go Home Show before Great American Bash. Who can grow
Uh,
the longest dreads between Mikey and Kill? Neither one of us, because that would be cultural appropriation.
Also, my hair doesn't grow that long. I cannot get it. Like, this is the longest it grows, and I really need a shave because it's irritating the shit out of me.
Yeah. Plus, my hair is not built for like that. I mean, my hair is just straight. My brother inherited the Puerto Rican curl, so he can do a curl, so that'd be crazy. I feel like should be the loser picks punishment grow out. We're not about to appropriate culture. We would get canceled so hard.
No.
Love you, Nick, but no. Y'all
And
can do that over at your channel,
if
but
you
we
want to
can't
do
do
that,
that.
Nick, yep, go right ahead. I
Go
will
right
not.
ahead. We are gonna get canceled. Just
I
throw
have
it
okay.
out.
Let me
No.
be clear with you, Nick. I have tried to grow my hair out. I have tried to grow it months and months. It does not grow past this. Got a fucking Dr. Phil thing going on, and I'm like, yeah,
Kill's got
no,
a
I
fire
just
tuck going on at some point.
no, because I don't have the connection on the
That's
front.
true.
It's the Dr. Phil because it's mostly like there's a little hair up. There is hair up here, but it's so fine and like so pale that it's practically invisible once you get like right up on it.
Mhm.
Um, so it's like it's not worth keeping, and so I have a kind of like a Dr. Phil thing, and then I'm like all this back here just gets itchy after a while, and I'm like, you know, fuck all this
And
nonsense.
folks, that is Nick's way to derail our show at least once a week.
Yeah. Anyway, moving
No,
on.
Nick, you can't
No, we're not
pressure us.
doing that.
No, we're not. No.
No.
Speak. Ooh. Okay, so like,
Let me first. Let me first.
okay, go for
Because
it.
I got one thing to say. 5 letters. One word. Jada.
Down, boy, down. Anywho, so we get into our next match, which is Jada Parker versus the Loki legend Natalia Natty. We talked a little bit about this match before we went live, and I will just repeat what we said. Like, honestly, this was probably Jada's best match. I think she really held her own against Natty. Natty sold well for her. The crowd was just in an uproar and was into this match. It was insane to watch. And honestly, this was probably my favorite match of this particular episode of NXT. I think Jada continuing to show that she can rock with whoever she works with. And even though Natty won this one, I hope this is not the end of Jada and Natty's feud because I would love to see them go another 2 matches and make this a trilogy. And I think this is great. We are moving on from the hair, Nicholas. I love you. Stop it. Be like, we're done. Anyways. If you're speaking, Kilt, you are muted.
This was so good. This was such a great match. You know what else? There's one thing I do want to mention. It is 6 letters. It's still one word. Recoil. Holy.
Down, boy, down.
I'm about as down as my buddy was last night in the front row. Oh God.
Whole man went through a whole
Oh
entire like
man had the
well,
vapors.
I was like, oof, y'all. I was like, it's
I
insane.
almost ran down there just to fan him. I'm like, it was. I'm like, damn it! I don't have a fan on me. I just have my
The
hat.
PC be wildin', y'all. The PC
We
was
do.
wildin'.
It's that one section of it's just one group. It's really what it is, and it's a lot of people that Fatherless knows, and I'm now kind of like on the outskirts of that and like them. They're really cool people. They're hilarious. And when we get past the main event match, I'll tell you about the first dark match, which was phenomenal. That one was great.
But yeah, so Natty wins. Hopefully, we get more between her and Jada because I think this could be a fun feud for Jada and for Natty as well. Moving on, though, we head backstage where we see We see Lizzie Rain and Mason Rook. They're talking about everything that has transpired. Lizzie is still kind of surrounding herself against Zarya and everything else that's going down with that situation. Mason kind of being more babyface here, talking about how, you know, in the few weeks that they've been here, they've already had, number one contenderships and championship matches. Mason is still annoyed that Cam Hendricks is poking his nose around his business, which then prompts Tristan Angels to come out and talk about how, of the three Brits that are here, he is the only one that has, found super success here. And Mason and Lizzie reminded him that you lost this, which then also prompts Aaron Rourke to come in and also say, you lost this. Shiloh technically won. And Tristan pulls out the Uno reverse and says, it's like, well, like any good pageant, if the winner cannot fulfill their duties, then the runner up will head on the mantle. And because Shiloh Hill is not cleared yet after last week, I will carry this title with respect and dignity, don't you think? And then Aaron Rourke clocks it and he's just like, well, you don't get paid to think, so that's good. I was like, Aaron Rourke was quick about it. I love Aaron
Oh,
Rourke because he's
he
quick
was
about
even
it.
quicker about that last line.
It's just like it was amazing. And he's just like, well, I'm willing to, as the only champion right now. I was just like, I'm a fighting champion, and you know what? Let's put that to the test since you think you're all big and bad. And Tristan Angels and Tristan's like, I would love that so long as you put that Evolve Championship on the line. And he's like, bet. And I know very well that just like the swimsuit competition, Tristan, I know your track record of you just coming up a little bit short, which then sends Tristan Angel off into tizzy, and Lizzie and Mason tell Aaron, just for the sake of all that is good in the world, to kick Tristan's butt. And then Aaron's like, duly noted, because I'm about to clock it. And then he was teaching Lizzie and Mason to do the clock it motion. But really quickly, I want to bring in Nick's comments. Rourke seems like a fun character. I love to see him on main. This is the month to do it. I think he will be probably towards the end of this year, but I think Aaron and Evolve as the Evolve men's champion is great. And put him with Kilt Wilson or Prince when he returns will be a fun dynamic. I honestly think you put Aaron, actually, I think you put Aaron with the women's division and it would be kind of fun. I would love to see him and Becky go at it. That'd be kind of hilarious, just their backstage. No, Aaron and Chelsea. That's what I want to see. Chelsea with Aaron Rourke would be a hoot. But no, I love Aaron Rourke as Evolve champion. I think he's great. I think he's just fantastic. And I am looking forward to this Evolve Championship match with Aaron and Tristan next week. It's going to be great. This was a fun little backstage segment. I know I saw some people complain that this was cringe. And I'm like, this is NXT, y'all. Some of this might be cringe in terms of the writing, but I think these four are really fun. And I really like all four of them, and they're great. Like, I was also nice to see that we might be making Mason kind of a quasi baby face or a tweener. Yes, let him foil. Yes, Dominic and Aaron would be hilarious.
I love everything about this segment because I'm obviously Mason's grown on me, Lizzie's growing on me, and meeting Rourke really for the first true time, at least on my end. I'm loving him. He's witty. He's got good banner, and honestly, if he's as good on the mic as he is in the ring, I will be, or however you want to reverse that. I'll be ecstatic for next week. It's gonna be great.
Right. Aaron just popping up and being a foil, that would be hilarious. But no, I am, like I said, Tristan Angels versus Aaron Rourke, I think is going to be a really fun match. If it was anything like their Evolve Championship match that they had a month or two ago, I am here for it, and I think it's going to be a good time for sure. And it's really fun to showcase, the men's Evolve Championship here. I mean, we did it with the women's when Kendall was champion, and so Aaron being here is also really good too. It's some good stuff. So we get this match made for next week. We move on though because another backstage segment. This screen grab was the perfect moment for Romeo. But anyways, backstage we have Sean Legacy, Dorian Van Dukes, um, we have Romeo Moreno, and we have Noam Dar. And the four of them are talking about it. And Noam's just like, you know what? I came back to NXT from my injury. I wasn't expecting to, become a tag partner. I figured, you know what? I would give advice to Romeo, but I have to say, I think I found my tag partner. So it seems that Noam Dar and Romeo are going to be a tag team moving forward. And so Sean Legacy was, getting information and trying to talk words of wisdom to Noam and Romeo. Meanwhile, in the back area, we see Dorian be looking around and sees that the Colleen boys as well as Izzy were in the back causing a scene. And so Dorian tells Sean, it's like, hey, why don't we get a tag team match? Let's take on the Colleen. Let's go find Mr. Stone and make it happen. And then they wish to do to the boys with Noam Dar and Romeo, and I'm just like, okay, so we might be getting the Colleen boys and Dorian and Sean next week too. Even though we don't get it should be fun. I think it's gonna be a fun match.
It's gonna be interesting. I'm excited to see how this works out. I really want the tag team division to kind of pop off a little bit more. Honestly, I really wish they would bring in a women's tag team championship for NXT. But we all know that's not gonna happen because fuck.
Lord knows that the women's tag teams are like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Unfortunately I don't see Paige or Nikki coming over to NXT to defend those belts, which is very sad. But
No. The NXT have their own because there's a tag team for
there's
NXT.
more women's tag teams in NXT than there are in main roster right now. But you know what? I still think the worst thing they ever did was to merge the NXT women's tag and then the main roster women's tag team titles into one.
Wait,
That was
really?
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let me fill you in on some NXT lore. So back about a year and a half ago, NXT had their own women's tag team championships, and then main roster had the women's tag team championships. About a year and a half ago, we had a unification match, and those championships ended up going up to main roster. Now, the idea with the belts merging is that those tag team championships for the women's division was supposed to be defended across both Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. And a lot of and WWE has now made it very hard, has made it their mission that idea and that sentence is scrubbed from the memories of people because we only see those tag titles being defended on Raw and SmackDown, and they don't ever come to NXT like they're supposed to. And so that was supposed to be that was what was told to us as the plan with these merged belts, that the belts would be defended across all three brands for NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. But they have gone away from the belts coming over to NXT. And for newer folks like yourself, just using you as an example, don't have that knowledge. And so that's why I get frustrated, because WWE once again lied to us and is not making good on what they told us, which I'm not surprised. They never do. But yeah, so that is the lore behind the tag titles. In fact, yeah, NXT had their own women's tag team championships. They merged. They were supposed to be defended across all three brands, but WWE has made it its mission for people to forget. So newer people who are coming to the product don't have that previous history, but I remember everything.
You know what? I'm gonna be really upset. I know this is why we do what we do, dickhead. Needs to just stop, and Sean needs to put his foot down and just go, yeah, I'm taking titles back, fuck you, and then bring back the women's titles. Because come on, seriously, you expect one team to play on 3 fucking shows to defend their titles? That's too much storyline for even the casual fan to fucking follow. Hell, the fucking slow burns that we do right now take years to develop.
Well, the thing is too with these women's tag titles, like main roster doesn't know what to do with them either. Like right now, they're on Paige and Nikki. I'm pretty sure that they're not. I feel that they're gonna lose them at SummerSlam, but like right now, you have Lash and Nia, you have Charlotte and Alexa, you have Bailey and Lyra. Like those are the 4 teams that are circulating around the titles, which was like at least they're doing something with them. But at the same time, it's just like whatever, man. Like those are the 4 teams that are constantly around this title picture scene, at least over the last 3 months or so, and I'm just like, "You have women's tag teams ready to go in NXT, like, you can bring it down once in a while, like, even on the PLEs, but it is what it is, and I don't book the show." But anyways, that is the lore. We might be getting the Colleen versus Dorian and Shawn Legacy next week, and we move on, though, because, we get a pre-tape segment, just, with Tate Wilder. I love me some Tate Wilder. Tate, I hope we don't learn that. I'm just gonna put it this way to make it kosher. Tate, I really like you. And I was like, I like the energy that you bring, and your character is different. Like you are ready to be a rough and tumbler kind of good old country boy. Now, I hope that good old country boy is just a character and we don't find out some crazy stuff that you think about and what you feel and what you subscribe to. I hope for the sake of things, let me find out that you subscribe to the red pills. I was like, please, because I actually like you, Tate. But yeah, I thought this was a little fun, like minute segment, talking about, Tate and how he's been on a losing streak, but he's hoping to change all that, while he's here in NXT. I was like, love you, Tate.
This was interesting. I have no notes on this one outside of please just you can be a good old boy, but don't be a good old boy.
I was like, please let's just let this be a character. We don't need to be finding out some crazy stuff down the line.
Yeah,
please.
he flirted with a few things that were like, oh, dude, reword what you just said, please.
Please. But anywho, so far I like you, Tate. Don't let me find out some other things. Let's keep going though. We get our second speed match. Of course, Layla Diggs versus Ariana Grace. Layla technically has the match won, but thanks to her kind of taking out the Birthright Boys, Ariana is able to capitalize with the surprise roll up for the win. And Ariana Grace is moving on to the final. So it's going to be Ariana Grace versus Izzy Dame in the finals, and the winner will go on to face Ren Sinclair for the Women's Speed Championship at Great American Bash. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it, so I think we can move on.
All I gotta say is, my man, phrasing. Phrasing.
I understand where.
Great. Everything was about this was great. I loved it. I'm a DC boy myself. Was born outside of it in Alexandria, but I'm a DC boy, and I feel him. I understand him, and I love everything he's doing. My issue is I let someone in my back door. Dude, phrase yourself.
Oh my gosh, Kilt, I cannot. I understand where you're coming from, but I was just
every single one of us was like, whoa.
I was just like, y'all, get your out of the mind of the gutter. Like, as somebody who, listen, there is a certain subsect of us, those of us with the melanated culture, like I got what he was saying. And that is something that we commonly hear that I say from time to time too, like within the culture as well. Like, honestly, that's how it is. But let me tell, so I was just like, this is exactly how you may listen. We were already pushing Saquon to become babyface. This is the true babyface promo for Saquon. And I am so excited for his match against Dion Lennox at Great American Bash. And then even after this too, the little segment with Dion watching that, he's like, all right, Saquon, let's see if you can keep that up. I'll see you next week. I'm like, ooh, this is solidified Saquon. I mean, he was already babyface when he got kicked out of Dark State, but this is where I think the people are going to be behind Saquon in like this minute and a half segment. I'm like, Saquon babyface agenda, here we come. I'm here for it.
It was good. Excuse me. And I do understand what he was going at with, letting someone through my back door, like what he meant. But we're all like, dude, we've already had someone that needed to phrase what they said differently, better. Please don't say that. Not everyone gets the meaning.
Well, I get
We're
that
all gonna
too.
go our way.
But I also think that I feel like Saquon kind of counteracted that because at the very beginning he said he's just like, my whole entire life I've been told, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. I was just like, and there it is. He's gonna unapologetically be himself, and then I was just like, but you know what my grandma told me? I was like, and there it is. There we go, Saquon. You shut them haters down, bro.
I flat out when he brought his, I'm like, yep. Whatever Memo says, you,
Listen,
because
there
I
are
will, I will stand right by you.
grandmas in general you don't mess with, but specifically black and brown grandmas you do not play with because they
No.
listen when they love you and and you on their good side, they will do anything for their grandbabies. But you make
Mm-hmm.
them mad, oh hell, it's gonna break loose.
Yeah, I just, I'm a good boy. I'll do what
That's
I
what I'm
told.
saying.
Mhm.
Y'all better be on your best behavior. We stay on the good side of our grandmas because like they do not play about their grandbabies.
I
So
once threatened somebody to it was mostly a dig between him and I because he was one of my grandmother's favorite people to talk to at choir when
mhm.
at her church, and I looked him to he was pissed me not really pissed me off, he was irritating me and I wasn't in the mood. I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, do not make me go perform some necromancy voodoo shit and bring my grandmother back to life to cuss you out because you know I will. And he's like,
I
heard.
cannot.
My
Insane.
grandmother is my grandmother. I miss my grandma. She's an amazing human. She helped guide me to be who I am today, along with my mom. Uh, and like it, it literally, it is just a funny moment for me. And like, dude, it's just it was such a good vignette. This was great. I love it. I'm loving this NXT
I love the I love the chronicles that we get. We got Keanu Carver, OTM, Saquon. I was just like, this is exactly what we need, especially since we got a lot of new folks watching NXT and we have newer talent here that haven't who are just got here from Evolve or from other places. So I love that these chronicles give us an insight to a little bit about who they are. So this is how you invest in a character. And again, I'm looking forward to whatever confrontation Saquon and Dion have next week. But we got to keep this going because we got to wrap this up. We get into our main event. As we mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, it is Lola Vice, our NXT Women's Champion, and Kendall Gray taking on the NXT Women's North American Champion Zarya and Kalani Jordan. I think this was a really fun main event. This was good spots. Everybody gave it their all. Towards the tail end, we had the Tatum Top Paxley come in to cause a little bit of a distraction for Zarya and jump on her, which would allow Lola and Kendall to pick up the win. After the match, Zarya and Tatum brawl towards the back. So it seems that they are not quite done with their feud. And then we have Kalani, Kendall, and Lola in the ring. Of course, um, you have Lola who has the title, and Kalani grabs it. Kendall is trying to grab it back, and she ends up accidentally smacking Lola in the face with the title. And so Kalani's just staring with evil intent. Kendall is apologizing as Lola's on the ground clutching her face. And that is how NXT goes off the air for this week.
and I think it was off the air when Lola did this, but she actually punched
Yeah,
I,
we
I
didn't get to
think
see it on the TV.
I think because Lola's on the ground on the mat, and Kendall's like, "Oh my god," trying to be apologetic. And at one point, I think either she did something. I don't know what happened. All I just see is Lola going, "Fuck off,"
Yeah,
and I'm like,
they cut it before
"Okay."
they cut it at home before we even got that. So y'all got to see that, but we didn't get that. But I was like, yeah,
Wait, did
honestly,
y'all get to
tracks.
see? I always lose track of where they cut it. Because there's so much going on, and you're trying to like focus. So I didn't realize Tatum jumped onto Zarya all I knew was Tatum was in that front row in the corner, and then at one point she was parched like a freaking gargoyle, and I thought that was kind of cute and silly. Um, and then like after everything was said and done, they started going at it, and I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder if that made the cut.
Yeah, so it did make the cut of Zarya and Tatum going back and forth a little bit, so that was fun. But yeah, so next week is our go home edition for NXT. So next Wednesday at the same time, we will be covering the go home show, and then Kilt and I will also be making our predictions for Great American Bash. So this finally we've reached the second PLE for NXT. And honestly, I think now we're on the road because if we follow the same schedule as we did last year, we have Great American Bash. We have Great American Bash now. And then after that, in September, we'll have No Mercy and then Halloween Havoc. And then Deadline would be the final one for the year, too. So we're finally back in PLE season. So I'm happy that we're there. We had Stand and Deliver in April. Well, it went Vengeance Day, Stand and Deliver. We got Great American Bash. And then we'll probably get No Mercy, Halloween Havoc, and then Deadline. So we are halfway through the PLE schedule for NXT this year. So this is going to be some fun stuff. But that's going to be it for us tonight. Me and Kilt got to get up on out of here. Really quickly, we got two more things happening this week. In about an hour or so, I will be here with Papa Oso to talk about some CMLL goodness. And then Friday, me and Will be talking about TNA. Again, things are happening in TNA. We just found out this week alone, we had another talent be given their, requesting and being granted their release. And then we have two backstage people who have also been granted their release from the company. So TNA is on a sinking ship right now. And we're going to talk about everything on Friday. But from all of us here at BC Wrestle Pod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you later in about an hour or so for CMLL. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.